you need to know when to go in, when to remain patient, and that alone can oftentimes be the difference between victory and defeat. Like, if your warrior jumps in too early, the whole team might suffer from it, whereas if the warrior misses an opportunity to lock an enemy down, the same might still happen. So it's a really thin line between, you know, being a masterful warrior player and being a so-so warrior player.
Exactly, and this is not going to be a fun time here for Hot Lady as ESTAR have chosen the first map.
Oh yeah.
We are going to the Battlefield of Eternity. The bans were Cursed Hollow and Tomb of the Spider Queen.
I like it. I like the fact that we're seeing Battlefield of Eternity again. For the most part, it was banned throughout the last 2-3 weeks, actually. We didn't really see it a lot. I think it was one of the most picked maps in Phase 1 for Chinese teams, at least. And both teams, actually, with really, really solid statistics coming into this first game.
Indeed, that's actually quite surprising. I didn't realize Hot Lady had such a high win rate on this map. But ESTAR, they are the stronger team on one of their stronger maps. We should, in theory, predict a win for ESTAR. But can Hot Lady prove us wrong and actually even up their win-loss ratio with ESTAR?
I gotta say, when I think of ESTAR and Battlefield of Eternity, Ooz's Alrek jumps to my mind, because he's made this hero look so dominant, not only on this battleground, but on this battleground in particular. So let's keep an eye out for the Alrek. Speaking of heroes, by the way, guys, we have yet to receive confirmation whether Stukov will be allowed or not.
Someone did say in the chat that it's supposed to be 2 weeks, and it's currently been 13 days, so I'm going to assume no. Unfortunately, but that's only what someone said in the chat. We can't always trust what people say in the chat. I will say, as a general rule, the chat in here and in your stream and in Grubby stream is usually pretty trustworthy. Please do not abuse that trust chat. But yeah, I'm going to assume it's not available.
Yeah, we're going to keep our eyes open for a pleasant surprise. Maybe. I mean, we all would love to see Stukov in the competitive scene for the first time.
One day isn't so bad, but
he's going to be allowed at the Western and Eastern clashes, right?
Yeah, true. So we'll get to see him there no matter what.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of new heroes and such, how on a scale from 1 to over 9,000, how excited were you about the hero revelation of Garrosh? I mean, I know you're a Horde fan, right?
I'm more excited about the fact that apparently they have been developing a new system/mechanic for him. And I'm very interested to see what that is and how that's going to affect the rest of the game. There was a post about that recently.
I didn't even read about it. But there were no concrete details, right?
No, it was literally a developer saying, "Hey, I helped work on Garrosh, and we're so proud. We're so happy with him. We've spent a lot of time developing a new system for him and how it interacts with everything else." So I was like, "Huh, neat." We do see the Ooze Alarak and the FZ Tyrael ESTAR already getting these comfort picks.
Oh yeah, they're going 100%. Comfort in this draft, and I like it. I do like it, especially when you play on a comfortable map. Why should you try anything out of the ordinary when you still can overthrow one of your two rivals like CE and SPT? Because keep in mind, if ESTAR plays all those games perfectly well, and if one of the two opponents, CE or SPT, has a little bit of a hiccup, then ESTAR might still get that number 2 seed. So really, really important games, regardless of the top 3 already being set in stone.
Exactly. Every point matters in terms of positioning. For both these teams, pride is a huge thing amongst teams a lot of the time.
Yep. And now we see the double Doge combo. We've seen that a lot, actually, over the last few days and weeks. And so far, it looks like our assumption was correct. I think if Stukov were allowed in this week, we would have probably seen a ban or a pick on him already. Because overall, I found him to be very, very impactful. And I talked to a couple of players and other streamers and and they were all like, yeah, Stukov is definitely tier 1 material.
Against Arthas as well, there's only one bit of CC. Stukov's obviously biggest weakness is his lack of cleanse. Yeah. So against Arthas on his own, that's not a huge amount of CC. He would have been 100% viable for ESTAR here, and it would have been a much more viable ban from Hot Lady as opposed to Uther.
Exactly, and don't forget about, like, the cool thing about Stukov as well is that the Massive Shove can just disable and just deny heroes like Arthas. You want them to charge in, like the Variant as well, or other hyper-aggressive warriors. You just say, like, nope, you shove them back, and it's going to take them a couple of seconds to rejoin the fray. So,
Tassadar.
Really solid.
Tracer comp, maybe?
It could
when
be.
They already have an Alarak.
On this battleground, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, Tracer's pretty good. Solo Assassin Tracer has jumped in on Battlefield of Eternity several times, especially seeing as TAS has crazy damage output.
Yeah.
That's possible. That's definitely possible. Malfurion is a reasonable support for Illidan.
Absolutely. I mean, for Illidan, for Tracer, even Avala is still possible if she goes arrow build. I mean, that's a lot of damage on the Immortal still. So ESTAR has designed this draft very well in a way that they keep themselves...
Oh, damn!
That Hots lady got a draft.
And Cassia, that's the correct response. Yes, Tracer would have been lovely, but 1, 2, 3 auto attackers. You pick out the blind and you try and deal with it that way. You have Sanctification to counteract, you have Telekinesis to force away, and now you have the blinds. There are plenty of opportunities for ESTAR to play around the comp of Hots Lady, but nice comp by Hots Lady. That is scary draft in terms of Hero League and any ranked draft. I just think ESTAR have the tools to deal with it.
Yeah, I gotta say, Hots Lady, they've got so much built-in synergy in that kit. I mean, they've got the double copy, or excuse me, the copy for the double Greymane or the double Illidan, depending. I mean, it's an Abathur's paradise. He can choose between some of the best targets in the game. And then they also have, of course, as Tetra said, the Arthas, which is normally a nice counter to the Illidan. They basically stall that away early on. And keep in mind, Carlo, he loves his Arthas. He's a great Arthas player. But as you said, ESTAR responded so well with the Cassia being super sturdy against all that physical damage. I can't tell you who's going to win it. Just judging from the drafts, I think it's a dead set 50-50.
I still lean a bit more towards ESTAR. We have FZ on Tyrael, we've got Good on Cassia. They have basically everything they want except a more impactful support, I would say. Malfurion is still really solid though, so it should be fine. And Twilight Dream is a great counter to Illidan, so they have a little bit of counteraction there. I lean towards ESTAR. Let us know, you guys let us know what you believe in the chat as we head into game number 1.
Alright, the first game of the day is going to be between ESTAR and Hots Lady, and Tetra was a big fan of what ESTAR has assembled for us in that game 1, and we're going to introduce the players. It is going to be FZ on his Tyrael, China #1 on Malfurion, Good on Cassia, Kit on the Tassadar, and Ooze on his Protest Body Alarak.
And currently tied in 5th, 6th, and 7th, it's Hots Lady with Y on the Greymane, Pommy on the Rhaegar, Lias on the Illidan, Meng on the Abathur, and Carlo playing the Arthas. And I like that Meg is on the Abathur because now it's really hard for him to be out of position.
Shots fired, but I gotta agree with you. Meng, notoriously known for, you know, sometimes overstaying his welcome a little bit, for exposing himself too much. So as Tetra said, well, I mean, he could still get out of position on the Abathur, but even
absolutely.
It's
even harder for him.
And look at that, Tetra. I think that has to be a trend by now, because there's way too much focus on Eternal Hunger on various Arthas players in China for it to be like a mere coincidence. So Arthas
even
really...
against the blind again, like it's still blindable, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you blind Arthas while using his Frostborn Hungers, his next basic attack is going to miss as well, and that's particularly annoying for an Arthas player.
Yeah, Ooze getting Iliabathut for the moment. He needs to get reposition himself. Why? Having some trouble. This zoning, this push coming in from ESTAR, horrific to deal with for Hots Lady. They are forced into their base. We already have a B coming out for Greymane just to try and stay alive.
Exactly. So that's oftentimes something that I really want to highlight. An early teleportation back to base not only saves the healing fountain charge for Y, but it also saves a lot of mana on Pommy, because if you drop so low, below 50-40%, the support is going to have to use a lot of mana and resources to keep you back in good shape. So not only do you save yourself the healing fountain, but also you make it a little bit easier for a support player to maintain a healthy mana count. But look at all the pressure coming in from ESTAR. That's, of course, the big disadvantage. If you teleport back that early and the enemies are knocking at your door, well, they're going to take the invitation and tear down some towers.
Yeah, Mafiorian spamming those heals, Tassadar with those shields. Look at this, everyone's pretty much full on the side of ESTAR. They pick up the first kill of the game on Greymane. They pick up both towers, and even their mana's looking decent. Mafiorian spamming Innovate on cooldown. They're still mostly all total, over, if you added them all together, about half of their full mana between all of them, which is easy enough, including Tassadar, which is actually quite surprising considering the amount of shields. Very nice job.
Yeah, that is, of course, the strength, the big strength of Malfurion. He's one of the best sustained healers in the game still, due to his Innervate trait as well, and, of course, his relatively low mana cost. I mean, it got a little bit worse after level 10 because he doesn't have the inbuilt mana regen from the Twilight Dream anymore, but before that, he's just as fine as he used to be when he was still that top-tier support choice. But now, ESTAR defending, and Hots Lady, they're getting a little bit more brave.
Down he goes. Look how many low people they are. Goodbye, Carlo. Down he goes. Man. Taken out by the Tyrael Explosion. 1-for-1 trade. ESTAR, though, wiping out this Immortal. Greymane doing a good job, though, adding a little bit to the race. Sorry, that was Rhaegar. But now Greymane joins. So they're able to take down a bit of the shield. But overall, ESTAR shredding through that. And it's going to be a 50% shield Immortal.
Yeah, they basically salvaged the situation very nicely here, Hosley. They got a kill, and they also managed to take down 50% of the shields for that Immortal. Otherwise, it would have been way harder for them to defend. As of now, though, still more than half a level lead for ESTAR already, and especially in the early game, when you have that early lead, it's going to be so good for you. You can snowball ahead, you can have that early talent advantage. Even a level 7 talent advantage makes so much of a difference in those team fights early on. Now we see another engage, the Totem and the Howling Blast from Hots Lady were on point, and Illidan is going ham.
Yeah, Illidan is going ham, looking for FZ, not able to get onto him, so they turn it onto Good, but he's got all that armor and all that stuttering. FZ, though,
they got two.
Off. Can he get in for the kill? Didn't get it. And yeah, they did get two. They were able to kill through that armor of Good and then lock down FC as well. I just got stuttered and didn't see any of that.
Oh, yeah.
Arthas, by the way, attack speed.
I mean, if you take a look at the enemy team comp, we know that if there aren't any stuns or if there aren't many roots and silences, well, silences you even don't care about. If there's not a lot of roots and stuns, you can go for Icy Talons plus Rune Tap at level 7, and you're gonna have crazy self-healing, crazy damage as well. I love this adjustment coming in from Carlo.
I'm not sure I do. I mean,
I like it.
There's blinds from Cassia.
There's only one of them.
Be moving and getting armor. There's disengagement. There's disengagement in the form of telekinesis. I'm not sure how I feel about it. We'll see how it works out.
I mean, you do have a point, of course, about the blinds, but I think one blind by Cassia shouldn't be enough to really get the value or deny the value from the Icy Talons build. But let's see. I mean, you definitely have some solid points. Like there's the Malfurion route, there's the shove. There could be a force wall later on, which further cripples Arthas' movement. Let's see how good it's going to get.
Cassie's gone for a correct adjustment to this, I will say. There's Rune Tap. Now, that's what makes this build beautiful from Arthas. Yeah. Just the damage output. If this works, you attack really, really fast.
Oh, yeah.
And this is believe Bloodlust, because look at the rest of the comp.
I wouldn't hate it.
But Cassia has adjusted here. She's like, okay, so I'm going to get hard engaged upon. What do I need? I need to get away from the hard engage. She's gone for War Traveler again. And this is something like, oh dear, Rhaegar has appeared to have glitched behind the wall and died. So down he goes. But yeah, War Traveler allows you that extra movement speed while you are moving, while your trait is active. And that's perfect. That's how you're going to be able to disengage. You have armor and extra movement speed. You have a good chance of escaping Arthas.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about War Traveler is also that it lasts indefinitely. Unless you stop moving or get rooted or stunned, it is always going to make you so much more mobile, allowing you to kite Arthas and Illidan a little bit more efficiently. It is just a beautiful, beautiful talent. Now look at Icy Talons, by the way. It only applies when your Frozen Tempest hits enemy heroes, so you can boost your attack speed against non-heroic sources like the Immortal or a boss or a mercenary camp. And that's oftentimes something that many people don't seem to consider. So Carlo is not going to get that crazy attack speed value against Immortals alone.
Who does Arthas think he's going to get his consistent Icy Talons off against? Like, he needs to have it activated fairly constantly in order to get the value from this. Who does he think is going to stand still long enough for him to actually get this value? I mean, if he roots them, yeah, that works. Yeah. But nope, rooted, denied.
I mean, Tyrael is normally always in his vicinity. The Alarak could be as well. Even the Cassia, if she doesn't pay attention to her positioning. Thanks to her low attack range, she might be in his vicinity. But yeah, you have a point, definitely. Like, it's going to take a lot of misplays from ESTAR to always give Arthas the perfect value on his icy talents. For now, Carlo, speaking of him, we are seeing him rooted, zoning, but
he's just desperately running in, trying to find something to one zone and to two actually get the value out of this. But everyone just kites him. And that's the joy of Arthas. You need some, in my opinion, you need some hard lockdown or a big frontline heavy tank / melee assassin to get value. Here we go, rooted and movement speed out of range, not getting the attack speed value anymore.
Yep, that was also a very good blind against Rhaegar, against the Greymane. When he was in his Worgen form, the first 2 or 3 attacks missed entirely, and that normally bodes not so well for him. Now, Pommy, once again, a little bit out of position and gets punished immediately. Rhaegar falling once again, and without their main support, there's nothing that Hot Lady can really do anymore. And they're going to lose this Punisher, this Immortal, very handsomely. That's going to be a 55 or 60% shield Immortal for ESTAR. Things don't look so good for Hotsley. I don't even know what they were trying to do. Like, were they trying to stall a little bit of time for Abathur to soak up that 10? Or were they trying to hard engage? It all seemed a little bit clueless to me, in my opinion.
I agree. I'm not entirely sure what was happening there. But either way, both teams have level 10. The Immortal's on the way. Cassia is holding. There we go, Ball Lightning. Okay. Everyone else, though, ultimate on the side of Hot's Lady, Ultimate Evolution, Metamorphosis. This is an adjustment that I like. Who are you going to hunt? Maybe Mouth. This is Tash Shields. You're going to get hard engaged on. It's not the best idea. So yeah, the Metamorphosis, keep Illidan alive. You have Ancestral. If you've already got that with Arthas, go all in. But I don't know how much those two stack together. The Ice Sense and the bonus, but you need the movement speed for the engage anyway. I would have preferred Bloodlust just to give Carlo a chance of getting in range.
And you know what? I would have also preferred Go for the Throat instead of Cursed Bullets, because there's only one target that Cursed Bullet is going to get massive value from, and that is Turiel. But for now, the Cursed Bullet hit. The Sanctification as a counter is beautiful, though.
We see Silence onto Carlo as he moves back in. He's got Ooze with him this time. The Ancestral is dropped. Rhaegar already dead here. Meng, the clone, disappears. This time Arthur's getting value. Counter-strike. Alarak gets killed off. But Carlo is completely alone now. Here. In the backline, though, is being a great distraction. Looking for China #1. He's AJ down, gets another one. There's no Sober Transference yet. Abathur not able to help here. So right now, Lias is just trying to survive from health until he can get the cooldown of Meta up, but there was no chance of getting it.
That was a good fight, though, by Hot's Lady, given the odds that they basically had to pay attention to the Immortal and the enemy team. But ESTAR, they don't really bother about these deaths too much, because they got what they wanted. They destroyed the tower line. They still maintain a healthy lead in global XP, and the Keep already took some damage after barely 10 minutes. So, true, they took some casualties. True, they gave a little bit of XP back to Hot's Lady, but overall, in terms of structural value, they're still miles ahead, and that is probably the most important thing that matters on this battleground.
Very much so. I will say, very impressed by Carlo. He was actually able to get in range, good target focus. With Illidan as a distraction in the backline and Arthas as a distraction in the front line, it is very difficult to work out where you can micro to. If you go too far back, you've got Illidan trying to burn you down. If you're too far forward, Arthas is roughing you up. They did the correct thing and focused down the support so that they had a chance of winning the fight in the long term. Very well done by ESTAR, but nicely initiated by Hot's Lady.
And now, of course, Malfurion is going to have that ice block at the ready. So if he gets caught by someone like Illidan or Arthas again, he can buy himself a couple of precious seconds for his teammates to get in position to maybe have another cooldown on the roots up. So I think Malfurion is going to be in a much better position now that the ice block is available. Now, in terms of other 13 talents, we don't really see any other big surprises. I love the nullification, by the way, by Tassadar, really denying a lot of damage from... I wouldn't even use it on the copy at times, because the copy is truly, truly scary, especially if cast on the Greymane.
Yep, the copy on Abathur gives extra ability power, which is always scary. So removing that away with nullification or just killing it as quick as possible is always value. It's basically the idea of it is making the copy actually focusable, as opposed to how it used to be, where it's just like, oh, we'll just wait it out on a timer.
Exactly. So it also doesn't have the longest cooldown itself anyway. So if you happen to cast it too early or too prematurely, you're normally going to have it up for the next bigger engagement 100%. So guys, when you have a talent like that, don't hesitate for too long. Don't wait for the picture perfect moment. Sometimes you actually want to use it right at the get-go, because you never know how the team fight is going to develop. Now that we see Illidan engage him good, he's safe for now, gets the Tacitus shield, and Illidan gets really, really deep. He dodges it!
Good Metamorphosis dodges the Twilight Dream, but the focus is huge! As Sanctification dropped into the backline, then Greymane trying to do some damage, but the double silence on the clone and the Arthas. Arthas Ancestral staying alive, they're getting through, they take down Ooze with the Abathur clone. That's the crazy damage output you have. The Ice Block will delay this. It's a 1-for-1 at the moment. Y is too low health to continue though. But now, Soma Transference is available. Even though that clone dies, Abathur is still now giving his team sustain.
Oh boy, I would have loved to see a replay of this battle here, because I thought that there was Ancestral ready, but it wasn't used in Illidan, so the only explanation that I have is that Promi got a little bit too close and got silenced by Malfurion, preventing him from using the Ancestral right after the Metamorphosis went through. Beautiful dodge on the silence on the side of Illidan, but I think Promi, who tried desperately to sort of stay close to his buddy, got silenced in the process, and that was the reason why Illidan ended up falling. But overall, good salvage once again by Hot Lady, making it a 1-for-1 trade-off. Keep an eye on the top lane though.
Greymane is trying to get as much XP, trying to get down as much health in this Immortal as possible, as Carlo and Lias wade in, silence onto Illidan, able to dash to his friends, friend or foe. Carlo being a good distraction for the moment, but their health bars are a bit low on the side of Hot Lady. They're not committing to this defense. In fact, Greymane has actually come to join them. Like, the whole point of this is they're delaying for you, Greymane. Get back there. As we see them go on to good. They're going to try and get some kills instead and focus down. Illidan gets silenced again, trying to stay alive. He gets focused down this time. The Twilight Dream grabs 2. The Ice Block delaying. Malfurion on the run. Arthur's able to pick up the kill. The clone on the Greymane doing huge damage. There's the silence onto him though. Counter-strike, and the clone goes down. But Carlo shredding through the Cassia in the back right.
I was gonna say the time of Carlo has been over here, because there was no more mana on him, so I wasn't really sure if he could keep up the Frozen Tempest, but it looks like he could with a last-second effort here. He took down Cassia. Once again, 2-for-3 trade. I gotta say, though, Hot's Lady loses team members too early in those fights. I'm not sure what happened to those Ancestrals. It was ready once again, or maybe it came off cooldown at the end of the fight, but Pommy looks a little bit... I don't know. He looks confused. He always seems to be a little bit too far in. Gets silenced, gets roots, gets focused. So the support play on the side of Hot Lady is a little bit lackluster for now.
Yeah, I would agree. Probably needs to refocus and get it together here, as Lias is in the backline once again, buying his team time. They're actually looking for kills once again. They're not even 16 yet. They're far too far forward for this. Yeah. But they move on to the Immortal. There's no fort here for them to defend, so they were just trying to fight away from the Immortal by the looks of it.
Yeah, in a situation where you're actually with your backs against the wall, you sometimes may want to force the issue outside of the base before the map objective reaches your keep or your core, because then you would lose that objective 100%. But for now, Hot Lady, they decide it's time to defend next to the keep. They must not die here. If they lose only one hero, that could be a golden opportunity for ESTAR to go for the core. For now, they remain patient. They only use the poking capabilities from Greymane and from the Arthas, but let's see what's gonna... ESTAR, they don't force the issue. They retreat. They say, okay, guys, we can finish next time. Let's not risk anything here. This game is looking so good for us. If we throw now, that would be very, very unfortunate.
Exactly. They have the keep. They got what they needed. There was no way that Immortal was going to get through all of that damage from Hot Lady any further. So they back up. They start grabbing safer objectives, and they continue to soak the way themselves towards level 20. Try and get themselves another talent lead, or just waiting for the next objective, or try to catch people out of position. Holy ground. Oh, he tried. That was ambitious, FC. Who is now getting chased down. This may have been a mistake. Oh. May have to be popped. Never mind. The Discord strike taking out Illidan. And
that was
engaged
beautiful.
Was perfect fate.
I think that was basically the first fight in which Illidan died where we can put the blame on Ragnar. Like, this happened so fast. Oh my goodness. Kid almost falling to the copy here, but they're not done yet. Holy, they get the Turiel, and it is a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, it didn't disengage quick enough, but yeah, 1-for-1 trade. Nice job taking out Turiel there. And like we said, Turiel very far forward, was lucky to survive that long in the first place. But yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah, there's double silence available for ESTAR, so if one or two targets get caught by any of those, it's going to be lights out, especially if Pommy the Rhaegar is one of them. because the ancestral healing needs to be on point on either the Greymane or the Illidan to keep those guys alive for as long as possible, because I gotta give it to them. Like, Greymane in particular has been doing a fantastic job, really, to constantly threaten the backlane. Carlo also playing a fantastic game on his Arthas, despite all the obstacles and hindrances he has to face. We talked about this earlier. He's actually looking really, really strong. The only one that kind of, you know, Elias, I think, has a little bit of a hard time on the Illidan, and so does Pommy. And those two are just so crucial, so important to really make Hot Lady shine on the battlefield with those team fights.
I would agree. And ESTAR playing the aggressive move here. They're actually forcing it on their own Immortal for a defense, while they leave Tassadar apparently behind to work on their own Immortal. Not the fastest hero.
Tickle him to death.
Have Archon. Don't worry, guys. I'll get this in 100 years. As we do see, Carlo silenced, but he's in a safe position this time. He already has Summon the Dead activated. Illidan
this time, nice.
Alive, trying Ancestral, keeping himself going. The Discord Strike hits him. Ball lightning, he's dropping low, but he's tanking through. The root was too much, though. He couldn't get any more auto attacks off. Carlo down as well. The clone is dropped so late, but they're still trying for something. Real Greymane is super deep and gets taken off. Clone Greymane at least gets Ooze. Pommy is on the run. It's Clone Greymane and Pommy left. Clone Greymane goes down, and Pommy is able to escape. Moves back up to the Immortal. Is going to try burning that down with the help of Abatha, just to get a little bit of shield on.
Yeah, Rhaegar also doing his best to apply a little bit more damage here with the Lightning Bond. He actually has a surprising amount of damage at his disposal. But as you mentioned, the clone, the copy, it was used so late in that teamfight, because that is sometimes the problem. How long does an Abatha use the symbiote to support the likes of Illidan or Greymane? And when is it time for him to stop and use his own copy to wreak havoc in the backline? I think in this fight, they waited too long. They tried to keep Illidan alive for too long with just using the symbiote instead of going for the copy. But I gotta give it to ESTAR. They make this Illidan melt like butter, and that is not an easy feat to do, especially since he already went for the Metamorphosis. Can you believe, Tetcher, how quickly he would die if he had gone for the hunt?
He would have been absolutely shredded, but there's the argument of would he have got a kill in exchange, and the answer is probably not. With the Tyrael, Tassadar shields, Malfurion having Ice Block, so he's not a target. Alarak having Counter Strike, he's not a target. Tassadar having Dimensional Shift, the only target becomes Cassia. And Cassia is already too tough to take down with all the support from the previous heroes we've mentioned. So yes, the hunt would have been absolutely useless here. Metamorphosis gives him a chance. There it is, getting out this time, but having to burn Metamorphosis as an escape tool is not always ideal, but it's better than just straight up dying.
The copy was triggered early, though, this time. This is looking a lot better for the Hot City, but a beautiful Sanctification. Ancestral lands as well, and this time...
Very early.
Such a tight fight.
It is a tight fight. The clone goes down. Where is that symbiote for turning it around if they want to? Symbiote. No one
on the core.
Anyone? Carlo's dying. Carlo is cleansed. Carlo is dead. As eventually, Carlo is alive. There we go. Carlo's dead. Down goes Illidan. Sorry, Illidan's still alive. It was Greymane who went down. Now Illidan's taken out. And that was shaky. The ancestral was a bit early. Like, yeah, it was nice to see it actually used, but oh, that explains where the symbiote was. He was caught in the Immortal stun. As Abatha retreats away. No, I don't know what was up with that. Either way, well played to ESTAR. They take game number 1.
I mean, it might have looked a little bit goofy on the side of Hot Lady that last engagement, but they were pretty much forced to do it. We gotta give props to ESTAR, though. They successfully predicted where Hot Lady would start that last Hail Mary engagement from. They also had the scouting drones, which helped them a lot, actually. The Holy Grounds by Tyrael were always on point, cutting off their engagement and flight paths at the same time. So big shout out to FC, stepping up his Tyrael game even more. He looked good, the hero, the previous weeks, but he looked certainly very, very impressive. Also, those Sanctifications, Thatcher, I just can't commend this guy enough for his performance here.
Couldn't agree more. Beautiful job. FC really coming into his own in this roster, and ESTAR are looking better and better as time goes on. Hot Lady, like we said, couple wonky fights in general. Pommy needs to maybe have his coffee as he's looking a little sluggish this morning.